I met a 38-year-old man last month who hasn't worked in 4 years. He doesn't have a trust fund, he didn't win the lottery, he's not living in his parents' basement. And yet, every single morning he wakes up and does exactly what he wants. His secret? $500,000 and a strategy so simple that when I explain it to people, they literally don't believe me. But here's what's wild. While you're watching this video, there are thousands of people living this exact life right now. They're not millionaires, they're not even close, and that's exactly why their story matters to you. I'm Ben, and today I'm going to show you the math that the financial industry desperately doesn't want you to see. Because if you understood how little money you actually need to never work again, they couldn't sell you their overpriced retirement plans. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about money, work, and freedom.
1. The lie we've all been sold. Let me start with a question that's going to sound crazy. What if everything you've been told about retirement is designed to keep you working longer than you actually need to? Think about it. The financial services industry is worth over $26 trillion. That entire industry depends on you believing you need massive amounts of money to retire. The longer you work, the longer you contribute to investment accounts. The more scared you are about running out of money, the more products they can sell you. But there's a dirty little secret hiding in plain sight. The actual amount of money you need to stop working forever is dramatically less than you think. And the proof is walking around right now, living their best lives, while everyone else is stuck in traffic heading to jobs they hate. Let me introduce you to Sarah. She's 42. She worked as a middle school teacher for 15 years. Her salary never topped $62,000 a year. Today, she lives in Portugal, spends her mornings painting, her afternoons learning languages, and her evenings cooking elaborate meals with friends. Her net worth? $523,000. That's it. Or take Marcus. He was an IT guy in Cleveland. Decent salary, nothing spectacular. He quit at 40 with $487,000 saved. Now he lives in Thailand 6 months of the year and visits his family in the States for the other 6 months. He volunteers, he reads, he learns instruments. He told me he's never been happier. These aren't anomalies. These are people who figured out something that most of us miss entirely. 2. The real math of freedom. Here's where we get to the numbers, and I promise you this is simpler than anything your financial advisor has ever shown you. Financial independence boils down to one simple equation. Can your money generate enough income to cover your expenses? That's it. That's the whole game. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you have $500,000. If you invest that conservatively, and I mean really conservatively, in things like treasury bonds, dividend-paying stocks, and index funds, you can reasonably expect somewhere between 6 and 9% annual returns over the long haul. Let's be super conservative and say 7%. 7% of $500,000 is $35,000 per year. That's $2,916 per month. Now, before you say that's not enough to live on, let me stop you right there. Is it enough to live your current lifestyle? Maybe not, probably not. But is it enough to live? Absolutely. And here's the part that changes everything. You're not spending down that $500,000. You're living off the returns, which means that money can last forever. It can outlive you. It can be passed to your kids. Compare that to traditional retirement advice, which tells you to slowly drain your savings and pray you don't live too long. But wait, it gets better. What if you're willing to be slightly less conservative? What if you put some of that money into growth investments? Historically, a balanced portfolio returns closer to 8 to 9% annually. At 8.5%, that same $500,000 generates $42,500 per year. That's $3,541 per month in passive income. No alarm clock, no commute, no boss, no meetings. Just you, your time, and complete freedom to design your life.
3. The elephant in the room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, but $3,500 a month, That's not enough for me. I have a mortgage, car payments, student loans. My lifestyle costs way more than that. And that right there, that's the exact realization that separates people who achieve financial independence from people who work until they're 70. Because the real question isn't, how do I make more money? The real question is, why am I spending so much money? Let me tell you about a study that absolutely blew my mind. Researchers asked people making $50,000 per year how much they need to be happy. The answer? About $75,000. Then they asked people making $100,000 per year. Those people said they'd need about $150,000 to be happy. People making $200,000, they said they'd need $300,000. Do you see the pattern? No matter how much people earn, they always feel like they need about 50% more. It's called the hedonic treadmill, and it's why lottery winners end up broke and why people making $500,000 per year still feel financially stressed. Here's the truth bomb. Your spending will expand to match your income unless you consciously stop it. That car payment, you don't actually need it. You've been convinced by marketing that you do. That giant house, it's not making you happier, it's making you a slave to the mortgage payment. Those restaurant meals 3 times a week, they taste good in the moment, but they're evaporating your financial freedom. I'm not saying you should live like a pauper. I'm saying most of us are spending thousands of dollars every month on things that genuinely don't improve our quality of life.
4. The geography hack. Let's talk about something that absolutely nobody in traditional finance mentions: geographic arbitrage. Remember Marcus, the IT guy I mentioned earlier? In Cleveland, his expenses were about $4,800 per month, tight but manageable on his income. In Thailand, his expenses dropped to $1,400 per month for a better lifestyle. Better food, better weather, better health care, believe it or not, more social connection. Sarah, the teacher living in Portugal, her monthly expenses are about $1,800. In the U.S., she was spending close to $3,900 for a lower quality of life. Now, you don't have to move to another country, but this illustrates a critical point. Your money's purchasing power depends entirely on where you choose to live. There are beautiful places in the United States where you can live extremely well on $2,500 per month. I'm talking about places with culture, nature, community, everything that actually makes life worth living. But we've been conditioned to believe we need to live in expensive cities, fighting traffic, paying ridiculous rent, because that's where the opportunities are. What if I told you the greatest opportunity is the one where you don't have to work at all? A friend of mine moved from San Francisco to Asheville, North Carolina. His rent dropped from $3,400 for a one-bedroom to $1,200 for a two-bedroom house with a yard. His quality of life went up, his expenses went down, his path to financial independence shortened by about 8 years. Geography is a lever that most people completely ignore.
5. The psychology of enough. Here's something that's going to sound controversial, but I need you to really hear this. The biggest obstacle to financial freedom isn't your income, it's your ego. We've been trained since childhood to equate our worth with our consumption. You are what you drive, you are where you live, you are what you wear. It's complete garbage, but it's effective garbage. It keeps us trapped on the hamster wheel, working jobs we hate to buy things we don't need, to impress people we don't like. I want you to try something. Pull out your bank statement from last month, go through every single transaction and ask yourself, did this purchase actually improve my life? Not did I enjoy it in the moment, but did it genuinely make my life better? For most people, the honest answer is that maybe 30 to 40% of their spending actually adds value to their life. The rest is autopilot, habit, social pressure, boredom, emotional spending. What if you could keep all the spending that actually matters to you and eliminate everything else? What if you discover that your happiness budget is actually way smaller than your current spending? This is what happened to James, a guy I interviewed last year. He was making $140,000 as a software engineer. He was miserable. He tracked his spending for 3 months and realized that the things that actually made him happy, hiking, cooking, reading, playing guitar, hanging out with his dog, cost almost nothing.
The things that cost money, the luxury car, the fancy apartment, the expensive restaurants, the designer clothes, weren't actually moving the needle on his happiness. He cut his expenses from $7,800 per month to $3,200. Same hobbies, same social life, actually a better social life because he started hosting dinners instead of going out. Within 3 years, he had his $500,000. At 36, he retired.
6. The compound effect. Now let's talk about how you actually get to $500,000, because that's probably the question burning in your mind right now. If you're starting from zero, $500,000 sounds impossible. It sounds like a mountain you'll never climb. But here's the thing about mountains. You don't climb them in one leap. You take one step, then another. Let's say you can save $1,500 per month. At an 8% average annual return, you'll hit $500,000 in about 16 years. 16 years, you might be thinking? That's forever. But here's what you're missing. Where are you going to be in 16 years anyway? Whether you start building this nest egg or not, 16 years is going to pass. The only question is whether 16 years from now you're looking at financial freedom or another 20 years of work ahead of you. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to do this alone. If you have a partner and you're both saving $1,500 per month, you're at $500,000 in just 9 years. Think about where you were 9 years ago. Doesn't feel that long ago, does it? Plus, most people can actually save more than they think. The average American spends $290 per month on restaurants and takeout, another $250 on subscription services most of them don't use, $550 on car payments for vehicles that sit parked 23 hours a day. What if you could redirect just half of that waste? Suddenly, you're saving $2,500 per month without actually sacrificing anything that matters.
7. The future you're choosing. Let me paint you 2 pictures of your future. Picture 1. It's 20 years from now, you're still waking up to an alarm clock, still sitting in traffic, still in meetings that accomplish nothing, still counting down the days until the weekend, still checking your bank account nervously, still waiting for retirement that keeps getting pushed further away. You've earned millions of dollars over those 20 years, and you've spent millions of dollars. You have nothing to show for it except stress, exhaustion, and regret that you didn't make different choices when you had the chance. Picture 2, it's 20 years from now. You've been financially free for over a decade. You spent your 40s and 50s doing exactly what you wanted. You traveled, you learned, you built relationships, you contributed to things you cared about. You never once looked at a clock and felt trapped. Your $500,000 is now worth over $1 million because you never touched the principal. You're healthier because you weren't stressed. You're happier because you lived on your terms, and you're surrounded by people who matter because you had time to invest in relationships. Same 20 years, 2 completely different lives. The only difference, a decision you make right now. My name's Ben. I break down the real psychology of money and wealth building. If you're serious about changing how you think about money, you're in the right place. So hit subscribe. And 8. The action plan. All right, so you're convinced. You see the math, you understand the strategy. But now you're wondering, Ben, what do I actually do? How do I start? Here's your roadmap. Step 1. Get brutally honest about your current spending. Download 3 months of bank statements. Categorize every single purchase. I don't care if it's embarrassing. Nobody's watching. You need to see where your money is actually going. Most people discover they're hemorrhaging money on things they didn't even realize they were buying. Subscriptions they forgot about, impulse purchases that seem small but add up to thousands, conveniences that are destroying their financial future. Step 2. Separate your spending into 3 categories: essential, meaningful, wasteful. Essential is the stuff you genuinely need: housing, basic food, utilities, transportation, healthcare. Meaningful is the stuff that actually improves your quality of life: hobbies you love, experiences with people you care about, investments in your health and education. Wasteful is everything else:
the stuff you buy out of boredom, social pressure, or marketing manipulation. Be honest here. That fancy gym membership you use twice a year? Wasteful. That car payment on a vehicle that's way nicer than you need? Wasteful. Those clothes you bought but never wear? Wasteful. Cut the wasteful category entirely. Optimize the essential category. There's almost always room to reduce these costs without sacrificing quality of life. Keep the meaningful category, but be more intentional about it. Step 3. Open an investment account. Today. Not next week, not next month. Today. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, doesn't matter which one. Just open it. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account. Start with whatever you can afford, even if it's just $100 per month. The psychology of automatic transfers is crucial. You never see that money. You can't spend it. It disappears before you have a chance to make bad decisions with it. Step 4. Increase your savings rate every single time you get a raise, bonus, or any other increase in income. This is how you avoid lifestyle inflation. Got a 3% raise? Increase your automatic investment by 3%. Got a $2,000 bonus? Send it straight to investments. Paid off your car? Keep making that same payment, but into your investment account instead. Step 5. Educate yourself. Read The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Learn about index funds, asset allocation, and tax-advantaged accounts. You don't need to become a financial expert, but you need to understand the basics. The financial industry wants you to feel confused and overwhelmed, so you'll pay them to manage your money. The truth is, successful investing is incredibly simple. It's just not easy because it requires discipline and patience.
9. The psychology shift. Now here's the part that nobody talks about, but it's the most important part of this entire strategy. The journey to $500,000 will change you as a person. At first, it's going to feel like deprivation. Your friends are going to fancy restaurants, and you're eating at home. They're buying new cars, and you're driving something practical. They're posting vacation photos from expensive resorts, and you're hiking local trails. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel like you're missing out. You're going to question whether it's worth it. But then something shifts. You start noticing that your friends with the fancy lifestyles are stressed. They're working jobs they hate to pay for things they don't need. They're constantly anxious about money despite earning 6 figures. They're trapped and they don't even realize it. Meanwhile, you're getting lighter. Every month that passes, you're a little more free. Your investment account is growing. Your stress is decreasing. You're starting to see a future that doesn't involve being chained to a desk until you're too old to enjoy life. You realize that you're not depriving yourself of anything. You're choosing freedom over stuff, and freedom tastes way better than a new car ever could. This is when it stops being hard. This is when it becomes your identity. You're no longer someone who's trying to save money. You're someone who's building financial independence. You're not cheap, you're strategic. You're not missing out, you're investing in your future self. And here's what's really beautiful. The skills you develop during this journey apply to every area of your life. You learn to delay gratification, which makes you better at literally everything. You learn to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't, which makes your entire life more intentional. You learn to ignore social pressure and trust your own judgment, which is basically a superpower. The money is just the scoreboard. The real prize is becoming someone who has complete control over their choices. 10. The hard truth. Let me be straight with you about something. Most people watching this video will do absolutely nothing with this information. They'll think, that's interesting, and then go right back to their old habits. They'll tell themselves they'll start next month, or next year, or after they pay off this one thing, or after they get that raise. They'll make excuses. I don't earn enough. I have too many expenses. I'll start when my situation is better. And 10 years from now, they'll be in the exact same position they're in today, except 10 years older and 10 years further from freedom. Why? Because changing your behavior is hard. It requires you to think differently than the people around you.
It requires you to make uncomfortable choices. It requires you to value your future self more than your current comfort. Most people simply aren't willing to do that. But you know what? That's actually good news for those of you who are willing to do it, because the bar is incredibly low. Just by being slightly more disciplined than the average person, you can achieve results that seem extraordinary. You don't need to be brilliant. You don't need to earn a huge salary. You don't need luck or connections or special advantages. You just need to consistently do something that most people won't. Prioritize your long-term freedom over short-term comfort. That's it. That's the entire secret. And the beautiful irony, once you start doing this, it actually becomes more comfortable than the alternative. The anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck is way more painful than the sacrifice of living below your means. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of divorce, depression, and health problems. It ruins relationships. It steals your sleep. It makes you feel powerless and trapped. You know what doesn't cause stress? Having $500,000 generating passive income while you do whatever you want with your time.
So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Take out your phone, open your banking app. Look at how much you spent last month. Now ask yourself honestly, if you had to live on 30% less, what would you actually miss? Not what you think you'd miss, what would you actually miss? For most people, the answer is almost nothing, because most spending is habitual, not intentional. Now imagine it's 15 years from now. You followed this strategy. You have $500,000 invested. You're generating $3,500 per month in passive income. What does your life look like? Where do you live? How do you spend your days? What relationships have you built? What have you learned? What have you created? Get specific. Make it real. Because that future exists. It's not a fantasy. It's a mathematical certainty if you're willing to do what most people won't. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to drive a car that's good enough instead of impressive? Are you willing to cook at home more often? Are you willing to say no to expensive social activities that don't actually make you happy? Are you willing to look weird to people who are going to end up broke and miserable? Because that's what it takes. Not brilliance, not luck, just a willingness to be different. I've shown you the math. I've shown you the psychology. I've shown you the path. The $500,000 retirement is real. It's happening right now for thousands of people who figured out what I just explained to you. The only question left is whether you're going to be one of them. Your move. If this video changed how you think about money and financial freedom, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I break down the psychology of wealth building every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Drop a comment and let me know, what's the one expense you're going to cut first to start building your freedom fund? I'll see you in the next one.